Welcome to En Route. Thank you for joining me here. My channel has been about a journey, life's journey, figuring it out, health, psychology, just concepts that would make our lives easier and progress us as the human race forward. And today I got another video for you. And I have a story to tell you about myself, and it's a little personal. I'm not really one to talk about personal stories so often on here, but this thing just keeps falling. Whatever. I'm gonna do that today because I feel like my experience can lend itself to a lot of disconnects that we have in society, because our biggest problem is that there's a lot of division going on, and there's not a lot of understanding, there's not a lot of solutions, there's not a lot of fixing these problems. And because I wanted to actually take this video somewhat seriously, I have a little notepad here. So these are just points that, I just wanted to make sure that these points got in the video. Some people, and I just recently watched a video, I forgot the video, this woman, she was talking about, there's a lot of people that are out there for themselves. They're just worried about themselves. But what I got from what she said, what I wrote down, was when you're always worried about yourself, you forget how affected you actually are by everything else. And so you're so worried about yourself, but then because you don't care about the way other people have to go about life and how other people suffer, then in return, you get to be affected by those things in a way that you probably would not expect, and what people don't realize is that we're all affected by each other. Everybody is connected. And if we start to realize how actually significant we really are in each other's lives, we'll start to be a little bit more thoughtful and caring and understanding of each other. We are so judgmental and divisive society, and I personally would hope that maybe we could change that, but maybe it's just the human condition. We just cannot collectively understand what's actually important. And so we're caught up in this system that has been put for us, not realizing the system is why our lives are the way that they are. And that goes into how I became a wonderful thief. I was a great thief. I was an amazing thief. And I learned to steal at about 8 or 9 years old, because I grew up from a very, very, very poor household. And so if we wanted something extra, if we needed food or anything like that, we would steal. I learned how to steal. My mother would teach us how to steal. And, she had no education. She had no actual means of being able to provide for us any more than just with her food stamps and her SSI check, because she was mentally ill. And so as a child, I grew up and learned how to steal, and I continued to do that up into my late teens. But then I grew a conscience, and I started realizing different things. But the thing about it is that it's not like I was just stealing frivolous things all the time. we went to the store, it's the grocery store, and we stole meat. We stole food because we could not afford to, or my mother couldn't afford to provide for us with what we had. And I could tell you the stories. We had so much going on. The amount of times that we did not have electricity, the amount of times I had to take a cold shower, the amount of times that my only meal was from school. I just want people to realize that when you grow up in these situations, it's very easy to become a criminal. It's very easy because you literally don't have any knowledge. You have no idea how to get yourself out of it, because the school system that your district is zoned for, that area code and that income code, is not going to allow you to go to a school that has a higher education rate. So whatever you learn in school kind of keeps you in a lot of a rat race half the time, if you grew up in a family environment where the psychology was totally messed up. And the thing is that there's a lot of people like that. A lot of people are just, it's kind of sad to say this, but there's a lot of people that have been just spiritually, like their spirit has been assassinated, and they're a shell of themselves, and they're walking around and they're just on autopilot and just moving through and most of us have become quite complacent, and we've just looked at the situation and said, hey, there's not much we can do about it. We're just gonna follow the crowd, and we're gonna follow the system that we've known forever. But it's just like, do you not understand that if you live in a system that forces you to pay to eat, pay to drink water, which are literally if they could make you pay for oxygen, they would. They literally are charging people for things that you need to survive. And so then we wonder why crime is even able to happen. Though desperate times call for desperate measures. And if you can't feed yourself, what are you supposed to do? And then in the same token, we have studies that show that when you feed a population of criminals healthy food, organic food, that they become less violent. They start to actually work better. They start to learn better. They start to be better. And so then you wonder why all the shitty food is so cheap and why they leave it for the commoners. It's all a psyop. It should be a human right for everybody to have a garden, for everybody to be able to feed themselves, for everybody to have seeds. But instead we pretend that we're so ignorant that we can't solve some of the most simplest problems, because it is literally the most simplest problem. You know how many seeds? I pulled some seeds out of this heirloom tomato that I had one time, and honestly I probably had like 100 seeds. And you're telling me that we with the amount of seeds that is produced in each fruit, in each plant, in each plant sucker, you really think that starvation is real? This is what I wrote. This is an idea that I had, because this is so true, and I've always thought about this. I was like, this makes no sense. How are there people still starving? We're in 2022. How are there people still starving? This doesn't even make sense. Starvation is literally an invention, because it's actually super easy. It's stupid easy. The fact that people do not see, the fact that all of us don't have some sort of credentials in botany is literally insane. It's exactly what the system wants you to be, completely dependent to the point where you can't eat. You can't eat if this system doesn't work, because you're too dumb to actually take care of yourself. The key has always been here. We were here to grow our own food. We've always been here to do that. We've done that for generations, and now all of a sudden we get into these cities, we get into these societies, and then there's people that literally do not understand basic skills on survival. They don't even know what a certain plant looks like. They don't even know where their food comes from. They don't even know what the process that it takes. And so they're so destructive to the earth that they don't even understand what all this, and it's one thing if it's just one person, but it's corporations and it's bunches of people, it's millions of people, and it's just this culture that we keep on doing things. You can buy a t-shirt or whatever for $10, at Forever 21, and then it breaks, a few months later, and then you go buy another one and that shirt ends up in the landfill. What we should be doing is when there's a shirt that we don't like or that it's broken or whatever, we should be recycling that fabric. Why doesn't society just recycle the fabrics? You could dye things, you could do things, but no, we just are wasteful. We throw these things in the landfill. We don't have a system in place to do things that are just more productive towards our environment, towards the plants, towards the animals. We just sit here and we can't come up with these ideas. What do you mean you can't come up with these? It's so simple. Put seeds in the ground. Teach people how to make compost. Compost is not that difficult to make, but they make it seem like it is. They make it seem like it's dangerous, but it's not. They make it seem like these things are just so taboo, but it's not. It's your birthright, and they're stealing our birthright, and you guys are letting them do it because the more of us that agree with the system that we have in place, the less of us have a chance to actually living a life that we were brought here to actually live. A more sustainable, happy life where we're healthy, where we're living off the food that we grow, where we actually know where things are coming from, where we actually understand how things are coming from, how things are made. So yeah, and then I just wanted to be able to make that point. My biggest point. This is so frustrating. Is you see how society then can create a criminal when you literally, Jesus Christ, help me. You literally have to work in order to feed yourself. And so they say, a lot of people say that we live in a slave planet. We live in a jail planet or a slave planet. We live, and it's just that's completely true because we literally, most people can't go into their backyard and get dinner prepared from what they've grown. Most people don't even have the time and the energy because they've not on top of the fact that most people don't even know how to grow and do these things and create compost and take care of animals. They're also making it so they're pricing you out of just being able to survive and sustain what you have already. So they're making the rents higher, they're making the electricity higher, the gas higher, the food higher. Everything's just going higher and higher and higher. So they're putting a lot of people in a place that even if they wanted to do some of these things, that their hands are tied because they're so locked into this system. And isn't that unfair? Because then your life is not yours. You're a slave. There's got to be a way. And I know there is a way. Because starvation to me has always been a lie. It is. And I think this is probably one of the most important messages that I've put out here, because our biggest problem with society is that we have a nutrient deficiency. We're getting sick. We're not being taken care of. The quality of everything is going down. The mineralization of everything is going down. Now they're talking about us not being able to have as much fertilizer as we need to actually produce the yields that we need to produce the amount of food we're going to need to be able to keep it to a point where it's affordable for everybody. So, you think about these things and it's like, man, this is such an easy problem if only more people actually understood this. because it's really simple. It's like riding a bike. It's difficult when you first start, but most things are just like riding a bike. It's difficult when you first start, but once you figure it out, it's I get it. Super easy. It's so stupid easy that I just don't understand why we still have any of the problems that we have today. It's only because I could say a lot of things right now. I could. The ignorance is killing me. It's killing me. You know, because the solutions are so simple. And yeah, everybody should be trying to do their part. And trust me, I'm doing my part. You'll see. I'm doing my part. I hope that everybody else is doing their part. People need to understand that, you know, this is not the way we're supposed to live. We're supposed to be, we are also seasonal creatures. You know that, right? Like, we are seasonal creatures. We go by the seasons as well. And the thing is that we've been able to do things. Why do you think there's always all the babies are born in the spring when you talk about the animal kingdom? Because their circadian rhythm is working. Ours is not. We're off. Like, our rhythm is off. And that's why there's so much depression. That's why there's so much grief. That's why there's so much crime. That's why there's so much disease. This is, and the thing is, it's so avoidable, and the answer is so simple. So this is one of my most important messages I wanted to put out there. Thank you for watching, and you have a great weekend.